Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Family, friends, teachers, mentors, colleagues, it's great to be able to share this moment with you. I want to speak with you today about what this Parsha can teach us about seeing choices that are available to us in tough situations. I'm going to focus on that great immigrant of the Torah, the one who talks with God and angels, the one that receives a promise of numerous offspring, and the one who faces the likely death of their only child. I am speaking, of course, about Hagar, the Egyptian slave woman. Could it have been anyone else? Yes, could have been Abraham. Okay, the situation is this. Hagar and her son Ishmael have been cast out of Abraham's house. She's probably lost somewhere in the wilderness of Beersheba. The water has run out. Rather than watch her son die of thirst, she places him down, walks a distance away, and then she sits down, Vaiteshev mineged, lifts up her voice, Patisa et kola, batevch, and she cries. God hears the boy crying, and an angel asks Hagar what's wrong. The angel tells her to go to the boy, lift him up, hold his hand, and God will make a great nation of the boy. And then, Vayivkach et eineha, and God opens her eyes. Vayikach Elohim et eineha, and God opens her eyes. Vaytere be'er mayim, and she sees a well of water. It is at this point that I go, I'm sorry, what? Back in Genesis 16, an angel found her sitting on a spring, but here, when her son is literally dying of thirst, she can't see a spring that is in front of her. She can't see a well that is in front of her. Why? What's different here than in Genesis 16? And I think there are four main differences. First, the stakes are higher here. It's not just about her anymore. It's also about her son, who's not unborn, who's very much alive and dying. Second, I think she may be experiencing a trauma response. In Genesis 16, she fled from Sarai, her mistress, but here she's been cast out. Her agency has been taken from her, and it's so much harder to see our options when we feel powerless. Third, her expectations about how her life would unfold have been shattered. In Genesis 16, an angel told her to go back to Sarai and that Hagar would have numerous descendants. She might be a slave all of her life, but her son would grow up in Abraham's household. That dream has been shattered. And fourth, she's in new territory. In Genesis 16, she was on the road to Shur, likely on the way back to Egypt, perhaps. But here she's in the wilderness of Beersheba. Who of us can find a well in new territory when it's unknown? These are all legitimate reasons for her not seeing. However, I think I misunderstood the difficulty of this verse when I read in Bereshit Rabbah the words of Rabbi Binyamin that Hakol becheskat sumin, everyone is presumed blind, ad she'akadosh baruch hu me'ir et einehem, until the Holy One opens their eyes. Everyone is presumed blind is not talking about physical blindness. It's talking about our ability to perceive situations, and particularly our choices in those situations. Everyone is blind until God opens their eyes. The difficulty of this verse is not why she doesn't see the water. The question is, what does she do that allows her to be in a position such that God can open her eyes? Not seeing is the baseline human condition. Having your eyes opened is something special. So I'm going to offer four things that Hagar does right. First, she's no longer moving backwards in her life, chasing the past. In Genesis 16, an angel asks her, "Where have you come from and where are you going?" Emizevat ve'ana telechi. She answers the first question, "I'm fleeing from Hagar, my mistress," but she can't actually answer the second question, because I don't think she knows. And I don't think she knows in chapter 21 either. However, she's able to sit in her present, Vateshev mineged, facing whatever is before her. Second, she accepts reality as it is, not as she wishes it to be. This isn't just a cognitive acceptance, but an emotional acceptance as well. Her son will likely die, and she allows herself to accept the situation fully and to grieve. Batevch. She's crying. Third, she seeks connection. She lifts up her voice and is responded to by an angel in heaven. That angel encourages her to reconnect with her son Ishmael, to lift him up and to take him by the hand. To se'i et hana'ar v'checheziki et yadech bo. Despite her grief, she's reaching up and then out for connection, divine and human alike. Finally, fourth, she's open. She listens to the angel, and she dares to believe in a new reality for herself. Who would have ever thought that Hagar, the Egyptian slave woman, would actually be able to have a life full of descendants and to live free as a free woman? I think it would have been unimaginable, both of those things together, for her before. Hagar didn't do anything wrong by not being able to see the well. She did everything right to put herself in a position so that God might open her eyes. I wish that I could stand before you today and say that the story of Hagar doesn't apply to us now, but I don't think that's true. The climate crisis, yes, I'm going to talk about climate. The climate crisis is an existential emergency for humanity. Like Hagar, what is at stake is not just our own lives, but the lives of our children and of every single generation that comes after us. Also, like Hagar, most of us have difficulty seeing a way forward. It's hard to imagine what life in a net zero carbon society would look like, or even how our society might come together across political differences and create a plan that will save our world. Like Hagar, we need our eyes to be opened, but we cannot open them ourselves. Still, like Hagar, we can put ourselves in a position to receive that eye-opening grace when it comes. We can stay present, not focused on the past or getting caught up in worry about the future, but focused on the now. Where are we now? Second, we can accept reality as it is, including grief for all the damage that has already been done to our world and grief for the lives that have already been lost to climate disasters. Third, we can stay connected. This may mean getting involved. It also may mean talking about the grief that you're experiencing with those whom you love. So often when we experience grief, we keep it to ourselves. That's not a good idea when the world is literally burning. This past year, I've been working with Dayenu, and one of the most valuable parts of my time there has been working with a team of other people who are dedicated to working on this. It's the connection, often, that matters the most. And then fourth, we need to be open. We don't have to assume that the future that we face will be worse than our past. As we come together, support each other, take action, we may find that we actually create a better world moving forward. Who would have thought Hagar would have ended up where she ended up? What can we say about what our future will be? It's in our hands. Sort of. In the end, we can't control when our eyes become opened. However, in the meantime, I wish us the courage of Hagar as we travel into the unknown together. Please rise for Kaddish de Rabbanan. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'hayachon u'b'yamechon uv'chayei kol Beit Yisrael ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru v'hei shmei Rabbah mevarak le'olam l'mi'amayim. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidehon ve'al kol Talmidehon ve'al kol man de'askin be'oraita di ve'atra hadain ve'di ve'chol atar ve'atar, yehe lahon u'lachon, shlama rabba, china ve'chista ve'rachamin, ve'chayin arichin u'mezona, brevicha, ufurkana min kodem avuhon divi shmaya vimru. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya ve'chaim tovim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael vimru. Ose shalom vimramav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel vimru. Thank you.